I think we should go ahead and get started, right? Okay, first of all, welcome everybody for sharing your Wednesday afternoon with us. We're going to have three exciting speakers today. So I can't wait to hear them talk about their projects. So a little bit of logistics. Each presenter is going to have about 15 to 20 minutes to talk about their portfolio, their project, and that please put in any of your questions in the chat window, right? For now, I think everybody sort of know how to use Zoom. In the chat window, you can just key in your questions. I'll be happy to ask them for you. And then each presenter, after their presentation, we have a few minutes for a quick Q&A, so we'll do that. And then at the end of the open show, after all three presenters have presented, then we have another Q&A session. Hopefully at that point, we can sort of do a wrap up and you can ask questions to any of the three presenters that are here today. And then I would suggest that if you don't mind, you can leave your video on, but then, please mute yourself. I think you're automatically muted. So just wanted to make sure that we don't get any noise. And one of the things that we wanted to let you know is that this is being recorded. So just wanted to, put our disclaimer to make sure that you're aware of this recording. Yeah. And then let's see if I forget anything else. That's about it. Oh, thank you for the donations while you are signing up for this Eventbrite. So appreciate those who donated. Always good to get some of that to support our work. Anyway, one of the things that I'm going to do, I'm going to spend maybe another couple minutes to talk about Open Show, a little bit about who we are, what we do. I know there's some people, friends or folks who have attended before. In fact, I see a couple of alumni who have presented previously. So you know about Open Show LA, but for some of you guys who are new, this is good information for you. So I'm going to go ahead and share, and then after that, I'll be starting the Open Show LA with Todd Bradley. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Share. Kind of messy here, isn't it? Oh, that's better. All right. Open Show Los Angeles. Yes, that's who we are. All right. Open Show is actually a sort of a global organization that has local city chapters. So this is an older slide, but you can see that there are many open shows around the world. And it started in San Francisco, the Bay Area, as Open Show #1. Open Show Los Angeles is actually #2. We started right after the Bay Area. And then given, we've been around for about 12 years now since our first Open Show LA event. So since that time, all these other cities have their own local chapters, and they can sort of do the same thing where we share portfolios of photographers and visual artists. So yeah, so these are all the, you can check them out if you like. Some chapters are more active than others. So, but we're pretty active. And then the Bay Area is very active as well. So we have bi-monthly artist talks, maybe once every 2 months, on missions, get your work seen and get you guys to talk about, photography and your art. And this is our website, openshowla.com. And then you can go there and check out our upcoming events. And then quite often we have call for entries, such as this one. So, we have, the next one is number 71. I'm thinking that we can have an open call around June or July. And then 2 of us, Richard S. Child as me, and Jonas Yip, we are co-producers of the Open Soul Los Angeles. These are our contact information. Both Jonas and I are photographers also, and you can see our website and so on. And you can go to here to see the events that we have planned for 2023. And then if you're not already signed up to get our emails, please do so. You can sign up on our website so that you get emails as to what's going on, open calls, and other events. And thank you for attending. That's all that I have to talk about a little bit about Open Show. And all right, no further ado, we are going to introduce our first presenter. I must say, this is going to be a good show today. There are 3 very unique and different portfolio that you will hear today. So Todd is in the San Diego area, and he has done a lot of photography work, and he's done recently some alternative and back to some analog work. So I'm sure he can talk a lot more about that during his presentation. So Todd, no further ado, please go ahead.
Okay, you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great. Well, hi, everybody. Thank you, Jonas and Richard, for inviting me to be part of Open Show Los Angeles. I'm greatly appreciative of this. I'm a photographer fine art photographer out of San Diego, California. I've been doing photography now for, well, pretty much all my life, but focusing on fine art photography for probably the past 6 or 7 years now. I've currently gone back to school trying to get my degree, and this project stemmed from a class project. The title of my project is called Not of This Realm, and this, along with all of my work, is deep down, it all deals with decay on some level, whether it's with our seed pods, architecture, or society. In this case, it's kind of the decay of religion. Let me just get right into it. The title of the portfolio is called Not of This Realm, and it explores pre-Christian paganism in a portfolio inspired by photography pioneer Anne Brigman. I began this, as I said, for a class final for Mesa College, for a class that I really enjoyed, which is Women and Gender in Photography, taught by Professor Jacqueline Ramirez, who's here this evening. Thank you for showing up. Like I said, deep down, this is about a loss of faith, and my statement basically is sensing a loss of faith, the deities, Odin, his wife Frigg, and the goddesses Fulla, Na, and Hiln journey from Asgard, the realm of gods, to Midgard, Middle Earth. This is where they encounter Puck. And they go there for a plea of remembrance for themselves and for the beauty of Earth and the love that humans once gave it. Like I said, this was inspired by photography pioneer Anne Brigman, who was born in 1869 in Hawaii and died in Eagle Rock, California in 1950. She photographed figurative landscapes and used her friends and family and herself nude in nature in the Sierra Nevadas. She is known to be one of the leaders of pictorialism in photography. My floral work had once been curated into a show called The New Pictorialist, so I immediately felt a connection to her and a need to honor her in this assignment. One of the photos that I used, let me start realize I didn't share my screen. Start. There we go. That should play. One of the photos that I wanted to recreate was Brigman's The Bubble, since she used a crystal ball in many of her photos that's featured in her book, Songs to a Pagan. I shot most of these photos in public areas using young models. So I chose to clothe my models in Nordic Viking wear. And I also had a costumer source goddess type dresses that had a timeless feel and could easily have been used by Anne Brigman had she decided to use clothes in her images. Post-production, I wanted to go for the pictorialist look, which is a very soft, kind of blurred, almost flat. There's not a lot of contrast in the images. My original plan was to shoot this on film using a large format camera. But after finding out the cost of film these days, I decided just to shoot it with digital. Plus, I wanted to shoot most of this basically in one day, believe it or not. It took 3 days total, but I had gone in for heart surgery about a month ago, and I wanted to make sure that I had something done before the surgery. So I had something to work on afterwards, and I had something to turn in. Let me give you a little rundown of the characters. There's Odin, who's played by myself. He is the one father, the creator of humans and the father of Earth. He travels with 2 ravens, Hugin and Munin, who are his thoughts and mind. He gouged his eye out for the ability to see everything everywhere all at once. And he hung himself from the tree of life for 9 days and nights for the knowledge and ability to use the ruins. His wife, Frigg, is played by Jodie Holden. She is a goddess. She is mother of Earth, also mother of Thor and Balder, the sun god. She is clairvoyant and an intellectual equal of Odin, and likes to bet on the outcome of things because of this. The goddess is Fulla. She wears gold in her hair, and she's the keeper of Frigg's possessions, secrets, and her shoes. She's played by my niece, Stephana. Na runs Frigg's errands in the other worlds. She rides a winged horse similar to Pegasus and was played by Nicole. Hiln is the goddess of protection. Her duty is to guard and protect humankind. She brings comfort to the grieving. She was played by Hannah. And Puck is the mischievous yet lovable wood sprite who plays with the goddesses and is a consultant of Odin. And he was played by Marcus. One of the things that I used to help me create this portfolio in such a short amount of time was AI. Although none of the images are created by AI, I used AI originally to give me a list of 15 ideas for pagan rituals, which it did a great job of giving me things like carved stones and a face in the tree. So like this image right here. So it's great stuff that helped tie my narrative together, but didn't really give me the actual narrative itself. I went through AI to learn about all the Viking things and the research. Then I also used it to help me create a countdown to launch the project, 7-day countdown on social media. And then I also had it create me a press release and help me narrow down my 5-page essay into a 300-word statement. And I've sent all this out and have, although it's so new, I've gotten some great response already. That's about it. How about any questions?
Hi, Todd. Thank you. That was very enlightening. Yeah. I have a question while other people are, oh, let me just take a look here. There's some questions coming in. Knowing that you had heart surgery, does the theme of decay relate to your own mortality?
I really hadn't thought of that going into it, but I suppose it does. I mean, I did think of that. You know, I wanted to make sure that I got this done in case anything did happen to me. You know, that I did have a completed project. So I guess in some way, yes, but it wasn't really something that I set out to accomplish.
Okay. Jay Davis have a really good comment that it's beautiful work. I have a question or two, Todd. I noticed that you did mention this portfolio was done digitally,
Yes.
and you had sort of decided on the black and white. Can you share a little bit of insight as to why you chose that?
Black and white. Well, like I said, I was trying to emulate Anne Brigman
Oh,
and her work as much as possible,
mhm.
especially her work in Songs to a Pagan. So her images are very, well, it's a pictorialist style. She would smear Vaseline on her lenses to get that kind of blurred look. I did that in post-production using Photoshop. Yeah, and her images were all sepia, so that's why I went with that as well.
Okay, makes sense. Carl has a question. Maybe you might have answered part of it, but why did you choose the pictorialist style? Maybe because
Yeah,
Anne, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
because of Anne Brigman and trying
right,
to emulate her
right,
work as much as possible.
right.
And
Mhm.
just to bring light to her. She was really an amazing photographer. You know, at the turn of the previous century, the 1900s, you know, she would scratch her negatives and draw on her negatives to create different looks, and she was really ahead of her time.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, that I agree. Yeah, she's been very innovative at that time, you know.
Yes.
Um, um, is are you thinking about continuing this project, or this is sort of a you're pretty much done with this
I
story?
think I think I'm pretty much done with it, but you never know.
Hmm.
There are other stories that I could bring into it. I could tell different, you know, mythological stories, still staying on the same path. But at this time, I don't have any plans to continue it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, what you have so far is seem like a lot of images, so seem complete as far as the portfolio goes.
Yes.
And Jim has a question. If you had free reign, where else would you stage your story?
If I had free reign, I probably would have gone to the Sierra Nevadas where she shot. Uh,
Yeah,
but I was restricted to San Diego, and it's very difficult to find photographable trees in areas that aren't, surrounded by houses and where you're out in nature. So it was kind of difficult to scout and find these spots. I was really lucky to have Jody Holden was really helped me a lot in finding like this spot in particular.
yeah. The location seems intriguing to me because of the forests nature, right? A lot of trees and plants and stuff like that. So
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Things where she lives is supposed to be a marshland on Asgard.
Mm,
Uh, and it might sound familiar because it's also the same basis for Marvel stories and for Lord of the Rings.
that's right. Okay, yeah, good. Alrighty, now let me just double check to see if there's any more. Oh, will you explain some of the objects you photographed and what they symbolize?
So like that right there is actually a Viking compass. Um, there's the first slide is of a carved wood, and that's actually the symbol of the sun. It's a sun circle. Um, this was Dan Brigman's, the recreation of the bubble. Um, the face in the tree is just kind of, being one with nature. And um, that was Odin with his ravens hugging and mugging. And you saw that I had the eye patch. And Puck is here playing tunes for the goddesses. Odin is reading the ruins with Puck. And I handmade all the ruins, and I handmade a lot of the costumes.
That's cool. That's great. All right, sounds good. Looks like on the chat anyway, there doesn't seem to be any more questions, but there will be more probably at the end, when we do that. So, all right, thank you so much, Todd. That was
Okay, thank you.
really, really good work.
Thank you.
I suspect you got a good grade there.
I did.
All right, the next presenter that we have is Ryan Mitchell. He's going to present something sort of unique, in the photography world. At least the concept is. He's currently attending Syracuse grad school, and he's already has an MFA, but he's going for his grad degree. So he's a former Marine, so he can kind of envisioned this portfolio has something to do with that. So Ryan, go ahead. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Richard Jonas. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you. Let's see, let me share my screen. So, a little about me. Yes, once I graduated high school, I went into the Marine Corps and I served 4 years in the Marines as infantry. I was volunteering with the expectation of me having to go to Afghanistan, but by the time I joined my unit, they already came back. So I was kind of like, what do I need to do and what's my purpose now? And so I deployed twice to overseas to Europe and to the South Pacific, mainly Philippines and Korea and Japan. And I served there training other military forces of like our usage of combat and like how to train for war and trying to develop partnerships with these countries. And so kind of in that, that exploration that with this project, I, was looking back at it from like a memory standpoint. And what I stated was that, it's an exploration of memory, frustration, and anger and violence that created the emotional withdrawal and physical stress within the experience of my military service. And with these images that I took, especially because my last 2 years, I had a digital camera with me and I had personal written entries and journals. I kept a journal on me throughout my last 2 years, especially that, I try to capture moments of us training for the inevitable of going to war, but, never seeing that experience and then having to transition out and, thrown into the civilian life of this world outside of what I was used to for the past 4 years. And so, now these memories are kind of like, they're not haunting in a way, but they're more just, I feel more regret and shame in a way and like self-doubt of never realizing my full potential of coming to terms of seeking out like a purpose in that sense. And what I did was I basically took my personal images, they're 4x5 images from, I printed them off from Walgreens, and I just decided to take them as an aesthetic value of burning them and finding the ones that at least show some sort of story of like my experiences and travels overseas. And the burning and mixed with the text especially was kind of showing my frustration of looking back at my military service. And I would put them together at large, especially large landscapes like this one, and diptychs and triptychs to kind of create more of a visual story in a way. It was like this project started out as in a way at a class as well. At Syracuse here at a grad school, we have archive is art basically, and it's a class working with archive images, and we basically, have open reign to develop whatever project we want, and then we do it, present it as a show. And so these images, I started out again with my personal images, burned them, put them together, and I scanned them and put them through Photoshop and played around with like presentation. And as a product photographer, when I got out in my undergrad, I decided to play with materials that I had saved up from, let me go back, saved up from when I was in, because I kept a lot of mementos that we weren't allowed to have. So I have bullets, I have a gas mask per se, that I acquired, I put that in quotation marks because we're not supposed to have these things, but they're personal mementos to me in my, experience. And I would basically, I love, taking, objects and mixing them together with photos and everything. And so that's kind of what these last two images came about, where I was just playing around with lighting and my personal images as well. And again, it was just, it's very therapeutic for me, this project has become, and I'm just kind of seeing where it goes. And I'm still working with presentation, especially. And this program here at Syracuse is a 3-year program. I just finished my first year. So I'm hoping this project will develop even further. I don't really know what plans I have for it. I would like to make it into, at least presentable for a gallery space or a photo book even. But right now, I just want to see where this takes me and where it goes. And I think that's all I have to say right now.
Okay, Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
This is really interesting and probably, like you say, it is therapeutic, in a sense to yourself. And then, you're sharing these potential issues with the viewer too, right? So that they can understand all the potential, problems and so on with the war. So you did mention a book. Do you think maybe that is something you might want to pursue?
Yeah, I've played around with like the program Blurb. I
Uh,
know, and then I have a couple friends within another program that have used like InDesign, and they've published a few books. Um, I know one friend of mine, she recently published her book and it got featured on CNN, which was really powerful. It was a really exploration of her family history from out during the Holocaust. And it was a really powerful book. And I've been trying to like maybe again, it's just presentation that I'm having kind of like having to hurdle over. And I want to get that at least all my ducks in a row before I get to like a large like project like that, presenting it in a book form.
right, yeah, because seems to me the audience may have suggestions for you also, but
Yeah.
it seems like you could certainly add a lot of narrative or stories behind
Mhm.
these images, in a
Yeah.
book that you can, share a lot of stories. I'm sure you have many of them. Uh, you know,
Yeah.
it would be a nice read in a sense, kind of marriage between the images and words that
Mhm.
has a bigger impact. So if you were doing a gallery thing or a show, how big would this be, you think, size wise?
I mean, in a perfect world, I want them
Big. You want them
big.
huge.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I've played around with it, I think this image, like this self-portrait of me, it's about 20 by 30. So I've had it's pretty big.
Mm.
And I think I would like that to be at least kind of like the medium size of like images that I would like to present, and maybe even the smaller ones, like the triptychs and the diptychs. I would like them at least to be maybe 11 by 14 and have multiple ones.
Mhm.
Just planning out. Just I'm always writing down different ideas and trying to see where I can you print them off, see what they look like bigger, what they look like smaller. We have this studio here, Lightwork, over by at Syracuse, and I can use their facilities, and I've been going there quite often since I'm on my summer break, and practicing, like at least experimenting on different sizes, because they have a wide variety of printers and different papers, and I try to experiment what some will look like, what some will look like matte, some look like glossy, luster, in larger formats. So
Yeah, you have a wide range of choices here.
yeah, it's a lot.
Based
It's
on
kind of
your, yeah, based on your image,
very overwhelming a little bit, just to.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so let me read a couple of comments or questions from others. Diane said, compelling way of telling your story, powerful.
Thank you.
And Lori says, these are haunting and such a creative way to express your experience. And Jody also said, very powerful. So David said, it's like shrapnel or
Shrapnel.
shrapnel.
Yeah.
Destroy metal. It feels very tactile. Interesting. That's a good comment.
Yeah. That's kind of what I've gotten a lot of comments like that too when I presented it to other people, and I like that kind of connection as well. I think it's a very good like
Mhm.
way to see it as well. And because we even other veterans that I've shown this to have seen that connection, is as something that's like very, like, again, it's haunting, or it's seen as like bullet holes in some of the images, where even with this one, I try to make that connection with it,
Mhm.
especially.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of people would resonate with these kind of images, especially, if you're a soldier of
Mhm.
any kind, you know. So Ellen says, Ryan, this work is outstanding. It is authentic and raw. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Todd says, very interesting. Hearing about your frustration comes through with the burning. Totally. That's, you hit it right on there, Ryan. And Jim says, your images are partially destroyed. Does this represent antipathy about your time in the service?
Yeah, it does.
Yes,
Uh,
okay.
it does quite a lot. And again, it's just a little bit of, not only like some sort of shame and guilt, but it is frustration and anger, because it was supposed to be an honorable thing, supposed to be a noble thing to serve, especially in the United States. And then when you come out, it just feels like you just wasted. I mean, college got paid for. That was nice. But like, besides that, it's just, you have all these skill sets that are just like, you're in charge of all these expensive equipment and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden you get out, and it's hard to, I found it hard for even myself to even find a job. And a lot of my friends had trouble finding jobs. And a lot of my friends, who are no longer with us, passed away because they had trouble adjusting to civilian life once they got out. And so this kind of project stemmed from that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very emotional to a lot of people. And
Yeah.
you've found a way to express your emotions and the way that you're thinking. So congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else have a question or two? Okay, you can certainly key in the chat window for later on when we circle back with everybody else. All right. Excellent. Thank you. The next presenter is Ave. Hi, Ave. How you doing? Yeah, I'll let you, I'll talk a little bit about you while you find the share button there. So Ave has been around for a long time. He's done everything. He's done fine arts, documentary, and he recently published a book that he might tell us a little bit about it, tell us some more information about it. But this portfolio is called Starstruck, and I'm looking forward to hear some stories, Ave, because this was done what, 20 years ago, 70s, 80s, or something like that. Anyway, go ahead, Ave.
Okay, so first of all, Richard, these pictures are 50 years old.
50.
50. And a little backstory is that I've been a photographer since the 60s, and I'm an old guy now, but I still love doing what I'm doing, and I'm always working on a new project. So this project came about because when I got to California in 1971, I came here as an art director for Capitol Records. They brought me from Philadelphia, and the week after I arrived, the Beatles broke up, or yes, and that was Capitol Records' cash cow. So Capitol Records went a little crazy. So which was very interesting for me to be a part of that corporate meltdown. So I stayed there about 6 months, and because I didn't like what was going on there, I just opened up my own design studio at the time. Now, the way these pictures came about is that every lunchtime when we left the Capitol building, we would go to a restaurant on Hollywood Boulevard. And while we were walking to and from lunch, I was looking around saying, oh my God, this is like Times Square West. So it was it was just crazy, the life that was on the street. So when I left Capitol Records, I missed going to lunch. So I started going back to Hollywood Boulevard. And initially, these pictures got a lot of play in different places, different magazines. And then they went to sleep for 40 plus years. And then just, I guess, 3 years ago, Chris Pilcher from Nasralli Press put me onto a friend of his, which is Clint Woodside at Deadbeat Club Press. And I must say that even though Deadbeat Club is a strange name for a publisher, these guys were terrific, and they really produced a very good product. And I was involved in every step of the way, as was Clint. So here's an initial picture of what was going on. I shot most of these pictures on a tripod, and I'd set my tripod up. I was on a cable release, probably an 8-foot cable release. So I was standing at the side or in back of the camera, and I could tell when people were coming down the street and whether I wanted to take a picture of them or whether I could engage them some way. So I began talking to them way before they got to me, and I knew much more about them than they knew about me. They didn't know anything about me. So some people I asked to stop and chat with me, and other people I just took their picture as they were walking by. So in this this particular slide was made from contact sheets. You can see I just cut out the contact sheets and pasted them together, which became part of another series called Paper Movies. And in this case, things start out with one person and then two people, and then people stopping and talking to me, and then people exiting. So this is what happened to the pictures after I took them and went through and started to edit them. So this is in the one of the first photos of this book, and then we have this picture, which is called Power to the People, and this picture has become used and it's in the collection of the New York Public Library, of LACMA. When LACMA had its show, I guess. I've forgotten the name of it, the traveling show. It'll come back to me, little senior moment there. This wound up on a bus in Lancaster, and it also became street banners, this picture. So this picture has gotten lots of use, and I personally like the picture, but it's just one of many. I shot thousands of pictures on Hollywood Boulevard. So it was quite a job to edit them down to about the 90 that I have in the book. As a subcategory to Hollywood Boulevard, I started taking pictures of people as they left the photo mat. And I asked them if they would hold up their picture so that I could photograph what they had just gotten. And this picture is also collected by some museum. It's called Mom, 3 Boys, 1 Angry. So the 2 boys who are holding up their picture are brothers, and the kid who's upset is a friend, and he didn't get a picture, so he's pissed off. So everybody else is happy. So this is. I happen to just like the interaction between the people there. So we'll move along. And here I'm on a tripod here, and very often, without me asking anything, people would want to pose. So this one is called styling. So these four young women just said, "Oh, will you take my picture?" And I was happy to oblige. And it's it's a happy picture, and these people are wanting me to take their picture. Very different than what's happening today. Today, people are much more resident about me taking their picture, even though I still ask. I also take pictures without asking now, more than I used to. And sometimes I get in trouble, but not too bad. Here's a guy who's an ex-military. He was damaged, and he was also a character that frequented Hollywood Boulevard all the time. So on this occasion, when he was at the corner of Hollywood and Vine, I asked him to pose, and I asked him to sit down on the Apollo star there, but he went into this yoga position. So people did participate, and I encouraged people to participate. So I'll try and move a little quicker there. These guys, the guy in the middle was a character that hung around Hollywood Boulevard. The other two guys are from a band called Space Bass. They didn't know each other, but I often would ask people who didn't know each other to join together so that I could photograph them. I like that people are off to the side doing other things. So on the left side, there are two guys looking to see what's going on. And on the right side, there's a woman who couldn't care less. But compositionally, it really helps the photograph so that you move across the space, but you can still center in on the people. And also, threes are a magical number, so people are always interested in three of something, just as they're interested in twins. Twins, if there's two people standing side by side, you get more interest than if it's just one person. So in this case, there's also this oblique line with the guys' heads that run upward, and it's on the same angle as the sail sign. So I lucked in there. So am I going too fast for you guys? Nope. Okay. This was See's Candy. See's Candy was a bit unusual for Hollywood Boulevard at that time. It was the only pristine storefront on the boulevard in the 70s. The rest of it of Hollywood Boulevard was kind of derelict. So this became one of my favorite places to take pictures. So I stopped these two guys because they're hippies, obviously. And I asked them to pose because they were in white. And I thought that C's would be a good background for them. I completely lucked out at the guy passing, sort of photobombing the picture, and the guy who was leaving the frame. So again, this just charges the image. I'm very concerned with composition in all my pictures, even in the pictures, even in the still lifes that I make. I build the sets and then I photograph the pictures. In a way, that's the same here. I can also tell you that my education is in design school. I went to design school, a couple of them actually. Here's two more pictures, and they're side by side. In many cases in the book, there are pictures that are presented side by side, just as there are pictures that have no picture on the opposite page. So there's a lot of rest stops in the book itself. So it's paced really quite well. And in this case, you can just see there were two photo mats there. And so on the one side, there's a guy there, he's got a shirt off, which I found really intriguing. And there's another guy who's dressed in clothes from the 70s in patched jeans. So in fact, looking back on the pictures, there is much, if not more fun than when I originally took them. This picture was titled Siblings for a long time. And these two kids across the street, they're in front of where Jimmy Kimmel now hosts his show. It was an old bank building. But the more I looked at this picture, the more I realized that this boy and a girl were twins. And, you know, and I especially like the guy's glasses that are taped together. He's also got a pencil sticking out of his pocket. It looks like he's carrying his sister's coat. And they didn't mind me taking their picture. If I took pictures of kids now, and I've tried to do that, the parents run out and say, "Why are you taking my kid's picture?" They think I'm going to kidnap the kids or put them online and expose them to some dangers. So times have changed. It doesn't mean that you have to stop taking pictures. You just have to find a new way. So another one of my favorite backgrounds was this 6253, which doesn't exist. Like the address is still there, but the facade is different now. It's become a sort of a mid-rise apartment complex. The story behind the picture on the left was Simon and Charles. Charles got off a bus right where I had my camera set up, and he had just been to the track. And he had a good day. He won some money. He was carrying his little stool that he took with the track, and I asked if I could take his picture. He sat down. I started taking pictures. I took a lot of pictures of him. And other people were passing by wanting to know what I was doing because he was so well dressed. People were pretty interested in that. And then Simon, who was a Hollywood extra, came and got into the picture. And eventually he usurped the picture. So as he got closer and closer to Charles, Charles started moving out and Charles left. And then I started taking pictures of Simon. So I have a lot of pictures of Simon also. The guy on the right was just a derelict on Hollywood Boulevard. He wanted to know what was going on. He just came right up to the camera, you know, had no idea I was taking pictures of him because I was on a cable release. But that close is really, really interesting. And, you know, it's just called Ray-Ban because he has a pair of Ray-Bans on. So, and then there's, I think this is Frederick's or the shop next to them, a lingerie shop. And the guy inside, I guess, is the owner, and he's fixing the windows. So I did take pictures of the shops on Hollywood Boulevard too, the Magic Store, these shops, other shops, fronts of restaurants, and which were all pretty interesting. And then again, here's another one where I just waited for it to happen. These are young Crips, and I asked them to pose, and then they started doing their thing. And this juxtaposition, and this woman who is white and completely dressed in white is just a counterpoint to what's going on here. So, you know, she initially becomes the focus of the picture for a minute, for a very short time. And then you get to see what these young guys are doing. And so I got lucky here again, or I was patient. So, and there's an expression, if you're going to get lucky, it's good to be prepared. So, and I always try and be prepared. This one is funny because I stopped these guys. This was a Greek restaurant, and the window shows the belly dancers in here. So a lot of people would come up and look to see what was going on. In this case, I stopped the guy because I found a connection between the Dalmatian and the background. So the dog looks perfectly happy with me taking the pictures. The owner of the dog is very suspicious of me. So I think, and also this is the three elements here are forming a triangle. So you get to bounce around from one to the other. So it's not a static image, even though almost all photographs are static, you know. If you look at them for a while, you can make the movement yourself. Another subset of this Hollywood Boulevard was people sitting on bus benches. I had my camera pre-focused. I knew how far I had to step out into the street to take the picture and then be gone. You know, so I didn't ask the people anything if I could take their picture. I just took the picture. Some people got upset, other people didn't. This one is Bus Bench Jesus. So this is this picture is not in the book, and I don't show this picture anymore, but I couldn't resist showing it here. This is in 1971, and I'm showing it because it wasn't really accepted then, and it certainly is not accepted now. So I took this picture because of how racist it is. It is completely racist. You know, the woman in the middle has got blackface on. These guys are wearing sheets that say KKK. A really disturbing picture to me, and you know, I just don't often show it. If I offend anybody, I'm sorry. But in 1971, even though I would say this is not accepted even then, it was more accepted, or these people were just stupid, you know, or they're stupid and racist. So this picture upsets me to this day. So, and that picture was these Halloween pictures were all taken on the same night. So the one on the left were 4 transvestites, and they wanted to pose, and the one on the right was just a working girl, and it's called it's called Trick or Treat because it's Halloween. Her breasts were tattooed sweet and sour. So she kept her mask on, but she propositioned me after I took the picture. I declined. So, and this lightens the pictures up a little bit. Here again, the father standing off to the right was okay with me taking pictures of his kid with the balloons. So again, that'd be hard to take this picture today. And here's a happy guy pushing a cart again in front of C's Candy. And then this is, I think, a watchtower. And I think this watchtower is probably to this day has the most, I think they publish 6 million copies of this each time one comes out. So and I think is that Salvation Army or Watchtower? The war cry. Anyway, there were a few people, both the Salvation Army and voter registration and Watchtower always set up booths, and this is in front of Broadway department store. So, and here's another 6253. These guys were racing back and forth on Hollywood Boulevard on their bikes. I asked them to stop. Their position was terrific, you know. I didn't pose them. They just decided to be that way. And the interesting part of the picture is the guy who's reading the newspaper. Couldn't care less what I was doing, but it really helps the photograph, you know, that he's in the picture. So this is a another transvestite, and I was set up in front of this I guess lingerie store and taking pictures, and she's looking at me. She was moving, and my shutter speed was a little slow, but it's still it was good enough. And I think that this little mark that's close to her, I guess, left shoulder is an earring. She had big hoop earrings on. So I like this picture, and just part of Hollywood Boulevard. Another subset is that I sometimes would set my camera up quite low on the tripod, just because I wanted to get another view of what was going on, maybe just the traffic. So I have lots of portraits of people without their heads, you know, just their bodies or what they were wearing. In this instance, the subset came about where people started to photobomb me by ducking in to take the picture. I probably have maybe 8 or 10 really good ones of people ducking in. This is one of them that's in the book, naturally. So, and I think that's what I looked like in 1974. So I had much more hair then than I have now. So, but you could see it was on its way out. Okay.
That's pretty amazing, Ave.
So right now I'm working on a couple things, you know. I have a collection of 4th of July pictures, and 4th of July is coming up. I'm trying to figure out, and they always use the flag, so I'm trying to figure out how to use the flag this 4th of July. I'm also working on the Santa Monica Pier, because I think it's for me, it's close by, but it's become crazier and crazier now. So it's kind of like Hollywood Boulevard. There's lots of buskers there, and people acting out, a lot of homeless people, a lot of religious people selling God. So it's pretty interesting.
Thank you, Ave. Congratulations on this body of work and your whole body of work that you've been showing to people. Thank you. Hey, one of the first things that I noticed, I think you mentioned this before, is composition. I think you really work on your craft, and it shows.
I can say you can go to my website, smallphotobooks.com, and you can get this book there, or you can get it from Deadbeat Club.
Okay.
So,
yeah. We can try to put it on the chat window with the link a little bit later. All right, so there are some questions from the audience and comments too, some comments as well. Mac says, I love anything from the 70s. These are fantastic. Todd says, it reminds me of Diane Arbus, Boy with Grenade. Hey, Todd also asked, how many rolls of film would you guess that you have?
well, you know, I have a box here in the studio that has all the film cartons. All the film used to come in little plastic cartons or in metal cartons. And I don't know, I don't have one from every roll of film that I shot, but I have, I don't know, how many rolls of film? Hundreds and hundreds.
I mean,
I used to load my own film.
I think
to make it cheaper.
I think he might he might mean that for this portfolio. I think you said you've gone back to Hollywood Boulevard time and time again. So I imagine could be, lots and lots of film, like 100.
Well,
more.
now I shoot the digital, but
Digital, right? Yeah.
there, I bought short ends from the movie industry, Tri-X,
Ah,
you know,
okay.
100 feet at a time, and
Yeah,
just loaded up my camera. That way I could get 40 shots to a roll instead of 36.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I have one of those plastic things. I still,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, I got it. All right. Diane said every image is a gem, which I agree.
Oh, thanks, Diane.
Okay, let's see. Michelle Morris, I can't see the whole image. Is there a way to show the whole photo? What do you mean, Diane? I'm Michelle. I mean, we can see, no? Were you able to see, Michelle? Oh, maybe we can talk to you later about that. And Jay Davis said, these are fantastic. Todd said, amazing collection of work, which I totally agree. This is from 50 years ago, but it looks very amazing. Carl says, nice work. 4th of July work. Oh, a person is scroll up. Somebody was asking, is the 4th of July new? I don't think so. You have a website for that?
Yes, it's probably on my website, but I've been shooting on the 4th of July for some years now. It started where I took a big flag to Venice Beach and got people, mostly people who were wearing either 4th of July t-shirts or 4th of July bathing suits. And then after that, I took the flag down to Skid Row and asked people to pose in front of the 4th of July and took the photos and made a little movie of those with a soundtrack of Kate Smith, God Bless America. That's been published a number of times now. And I think was recently, there was a really wonderful site called Dog, D-O-O-G. It's Italian. It's a social media site, and they published that recently. So, and that was probably, I think, might have been 2016 or 2018. So I've been shooting 4th of July pictures for a while now.
Right, because I've seen some of your older work for the 4th of July with a flag in downtown LA, was it?
Downtown LA, yes.
Yeah, okay. That might be one of the earlier presentation you made at Follow LA Open Show, maybe. I remember that. Yeah, and thanks to Jonas, he posted everybody's website. So you might want to take a screenshot or just click on it so that you know how to get to their website. And then Ave, you have the smallphotobooks.com. So that's a good site to get your book. All right.
I would like to say I'm really appreciative of the two other presenters who plan what they're doing. And so they have a purpose of taking their pictures. I appreciate that and try to follow those same things to have. So it's not just, I'm not just making snapshots, I think, and I'm very impressed by building the sets to shoot all in one day. So I know that, sewing the costumes and the fabrics and all that was a love of the work, just as taking the pictures afterwards and adding to them by burning the images or putting them together. I'm really appreciative of photographers trying to push the envelope as to how far can you go with the picture.
Yep, totally agreed. Somebody, Elliot was asking if you have done color work.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
when everybody else was doing color too. And now I got sick of color. So now my camera captures both black and white and color.
Right.
I shoot in black and white. So I compose in black and white. I wind up with black and white and color, but mostly I've gone back to black and white. I prefer it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a different quality to black and white. I love black and white too. Jim says, great work on the streets. Did you scan the film and make
Yes.
change? Did you make any tonal changes?
I tried to get the images to be in a certain range so that they looked good in the book. Now I have a little designated scanner, although these were scanned twice, one on an old Hasselblad scanner for the book, but my scanner is a plus text and it scans at 7200 or 8200. I use it all the time.
So you scan the silver gelatin paper, yeah?
No, I scan the negatives.
You said negative. I got you.
Yeah.
And you turn it, yeah, and you fix it a little bit, perhaps. Got it. All right. Martha said, wow. The story they all do. Yes. Yeah, these are good. Yeah. Martha said it reminds us of all these places that we sometimes forget.
Well, forgetting is my middle name now.
All right, Todd said we learned quite a bit from you today. All right, that's excellent. These are all great comments.
Yeah,
So,
thank you guys for those comments.
Thank you, Ave. Yeah, I wanted to open it up. We have about 15 minutes left to our allotted time frame. But if you guys have any kind of other questions for any one of the three presenters, please go ahead. We may unmute you if you wanted to talk. Anybody?
Hey, well, I'll say this for Ryan's work. I'm really inspired by it. And Ryan, I guess the question I have is, are the pieces themselves smaller prints? Because you said you worked with getting them printed at like the drugstore.
Yes, so all the prints, the initial photos are all 4x5. I think I should have some on my desk somewhere. I don't think I do, but they're all 4x5 images. I printed off Walgreens, then I burn them initially, and then I scan them, and then the scans are put through Photoshop, and I just kind of fix them up a little bit, put them behind the white background to make them look presentable, and then I'll blow them up and see how they look like bigger when I print them off on whatever paper is available at Lightwork or whatever photo studio I'm at. But yeah, I start them off, they're really small, so they're just regular 4x5 images.
Yeah, I mean, metaphorically, it kind of resonates, because it almost, I mean, the way I'm looking at them, and in the context of you serving in the military, as if like this is a portfolio you had on your body, and at some point it like they got burned during battle. So there's something that's what I mean by tactile. And so maybe as an idea of like, yeah, there's the monumental sizing of them, but there's also something monumental in the preciousness of the size in and of itself. That's just my opinion. So maybe there's some way of kind of having a dual presentation in some way. If you want to banter more, we could talk later. But it's really I really like it quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I've experimented too with like displaying them like smaller size. Like I laid like lined them all up in a way where it was like along a wall, because in our studios we had like a big space, so I could play around with size and scale. And like, yeah, I try to experiment again with, maybe presenting them smaller, maybe in smaller collages all individually, but yeah, we can talk. We'll talk later.
Cool.
Definitely.
Thank you.
That's a really good idea, though. The fact that if you think about it, what you have done, Ryan, is one of one. These are originals. They're small, but they're still originals. Yeah, so you can frame those if you want, if you like, as one of one, original photo objects.
Mhm.
Other comments? Anyone? Questions, comments?
Question for
Oh,
Abe.
oh,
Hear
yeah.
me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to say how much I enjoyed your work. It's just great.
Oh, thank you.
Street photography was probably my first love in photography. Early on, you mentioned that you can still take pictures of people, but you have to change your method or something like that. And I was just wondering, how has that changed over the years for you? Because, you mentioned people aren't as willing to have their photograph taken. They're not as willing to pose per se.
Well, I still ask people if I can take their picture. If they say no, I just go on to the next picture,
Mhm.
because there's so many pictures that whatever interests me. And, you have a great deal of control when you're taking pictures of people, because you have the background, you can adjust your angle, how you use the camera. So sometimes I don't use long lenses. They're almost all wide angle. So sometimes I will be looking in a different direction. And now the cameras have flip screens, so I can be looking to the left or right on the screen, but my camera is pointed straight ahead. So you find ways of getting the pictures that you want, and a couple weeks ago, some guy got really upset that I was taking a picture of, he called it his family. It was two couples on the Santa Monica Pier. And then he chased me down, like 10 minutes later, he was tapping me on the shoulder and said, delete that picture. And I said, which picture was that? The one you took of my family. And I said, which camera did I use? He said, you used your iPhone. That's illegal. And I said, no, I'm in a public space. It's not illegal. Yes, it is. I said, well, look, there's a police station right here on the pier. Let's both of us walk over there. You can file a complaint or we can ask the cop. And he said, okay, let's go. You go first. And so I thought he was following me. By the time I got to the cop and I said, look, to the cop, look, this guy is hassling me. And I turned around, there was nobody there. So he just, I felt really stupid. But the cop said, there's nobody there. Just go about your business.
Mhm.
So,
Thank you.
Elliot here. I just wanted to say thank you for I don't know if it was intentionally curated, but the range of work is really great together. The directorial stuff that Todd presented, Ryan, the kind of snapshot and landscape, and then the mediation, and then the really glorious street photography. So it's such different work that it was really juicy to get it all in one delivery. Thank you.
Thank you, Elliot. Yeah, it's really good stuff. That's why we keep continuing to do open show, because we find all this fantastic materials that we have to share with people.
Another quick question. When can we get a copy of the recording?
Recording. We'll try to post it.
Okay.
Would you like one? Then we can send it to you directly. Because sometimes we don't post it yet.
Okay.
Eventually we might post it like in YouTube or something, or at our website. But we Jacqueline,
Yes. Yeah.
we can send one to you once it's ready. Probably takes a week or two. Jonas is our fantastic guy who does
That'd be
that.
great. Thank you. Yeah.
We'll send it to each presenter for sure.
Okay.
We normally do that, and what he's done is that Jonas has done is that we have one specifically for each presenter, so that they can share with other people and they can keep it, and then we have one that has everything. So, and we'll email that to the presenters, and we can email that to you to check on it. Just send me your email or something.
I'll get one from Todd.
Oh yeah, Todd will get one.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure, of course. Same likewise for anybody else. If you want one, just shoot us an email. We'll send you one. Or we can send you a link to get one, either way.
Thank you, Richard and Jonas, for inviting all of us. This is wonderful.
You're welcome, Todd. Thank you for sharing your stories and your images with us. That's pretty amazing. So yeah, we're looking forward to all great work from all three of you. Everyone, if you can just you know, cut and paste their website, they need to be followed, and you can keep track of their career and their next projects. It's going to be all good stuff. I was going to say that the next open show is probably going to be in July. I'm just guessing. And then it's already the end of May. Can you believe that? So the next open call will go out probably sometime in June. And then we'll have the next open show 71 sometime in July. So maybe definitely after the 4th, maybe in the middle of the month or something like that. Just want to give you guys a heads up.
Well, I'm very grateful to be part of this this presentation. Thanks to my fellow presenters and to you, Richard and Jonas. I think you guys do a great job.
Thank you.
Todd, I'm really impressed by you making all these sets and things. And Ryan, I'm sure that I was never in the military. I did go to Vietnam, but on my own dime years later. And I can tell you that in Vietnam, they call the Vietnam War the American War.
Yeah, thank you all for the comments and the nice comments in the chat. Appreciate all you guys joining on a weeknight. I think Wednesday is usually a good night for us to sort of hang out. So, and then already, let's see. And then you can bookmark our Open Show LA too, okay? OpenShowLA.com. Eventually we're going to put more contents up, maybe portfolios of presenters, and definitely we're going to try to put the videos up there as well. Took a little bit of work, so we'll try to get that going.
Richard, just quick question. Is Open Show now exclusively with online, or are you doing in person again?
Yeah, we like to go back in person at some point, but when we do, we're gonna have a hybrid situation where we would have, you know, in person, and then we would be available on Zoom as well. So wherever we go, right, like normally we go to a gallery or a studio of some kind. So we have to make sure that the internet connection there is pretty good for us to be able to have that bandwidth to allow the, you know, the Zooming. So I kind of like the one-on-one interaction, right? But then you have to be in LA, so that's sort of a minus. And then this way we get to hear presenters from all over. The presenter we had furthest is in Australia. That was the furthest. We got New York people, you know, everywhere. They're just from everywhere in the United States. So that's really a plus. So we're gonna try to do that hybrid eventually. And then we were, just FYI, we were going to be at Photo LA doing an actual, you know, in person presentation of Open Show. But they had postponed it to maybe later on this year or something like that. But when it does happen, we're gonna be at the fair doing Open Show, and we're gonna try to, you know, have it available, you know, using Zoom as well, or maybe have 1 or 2 presenters that are from Zoom, and then 1 or 2 presenters that are local in Los Angeles. So, good question, David. Thank you. Okay, we're cutting into probably dinner time for a lot of you, or cocktail time. You know, Todd's already had a bourbon, so. Anyway, thank you so much again. And then please look us up for the next show, and then we will definitely see you again. Thank you all. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.